Good afternoon. I'm Ham Richards, admin coordinator for the monthly calling campaign. First, a little history. The MCC has its roots in Project Grand Canyon, a monthly calling campaign developed in 2017 by CCLers in Minnesota. Following their presentation about it at the CCL National Conference in 2018, I replicated it for Austin's 6 gerrymandered congressional districts. The Project Grand Canyon system was implemented using Gmail, Google Forms, and Google Spreadsheets. Reminders were sent once a week by email to 1/4 of the callers, who were supposed to report their calls by replying to the email. When another Austin CCLer, Ben Borrell, observed that the labor-intensive and error-prone Project Grand Canyon system was unscalable, he used his web expertise to re-engineer the system into one that could cover not just a few local districts, but all 435 congressional districts, and eventually the 100 senators as well. When the new system's capabilities became apparent, CCL negotiated a takeover and renamed the system the Monthly Calling Campaign. Why does CCL support the Monthly Calling Campaign? Why do we ask people to contact their members of Congress by phone rather than by emails, tweets, etc.? Well, that's because phone calls are a highly effective means of influencing the Congress, second only to personal visits. My purpose is to give you a sense of what you'll experience as an MCC admin and to arouse your curiosity to find out more. The MCC sends every caller a monthly notification or reminder that it's time to make their calls. The reminder contains the call guide for the caller's representative or for one of their 2 senators. The guide includes the name and phone number of the member's DC office, not the district offices, which mainly handle constituent services rather than legislative issues. The guide suggests wording for the caller to introduce themselves and for the request, or ask as we call it, that's the reason for the call. Pressing the Report Your Call button does 2 things. It registers that the caller made the call, and it brings an invitation to call one of the caller's other 2 members of Congress. This repeats until the caller has called all 3 of their members of Congress. The order in which the 3 are called varies from one district to another and from time to time, but eventually they all get called. Now, occasionally it happens that a caller insists that they've called, but their activity history says they haven't. And the reason for that is that the button, the Report Your Call button, identifies the caller uniquely, so the email containing it should not be shared. The button in a given email becomes inactive when the monthly calling campaign sends the caller's next monthly email, so callers should always use the button in their most recent reminder. Ideally, there's at least one active admin for each member of Congress. Currently, there are quite a few members of Congress with 2 or more admins, which is fine. There's plenty of work for them to share. Unfortunately, there are still quite a few members of Congress with no admin at all, and many whose admins are not active because they're stretched too thin or they have other duties. Callers in those districts don't get the monitoring and encouragement that boost the calling rate. If this list includes your district or senator, it has no admin at all. Please volunteer. The admin's goal is to maximize the number of calls each month by getting each caller to make all of their scheduled calls. We want to keep that steady drumbeat that gets legislators' attention. We motivate callers by keeping the ask relevant, thanking the ones that make their calls, and encouraging the ones that, for one reason or another, don't. The MCC provides admins with tools to help them keep their callers motivated and their calling guide updated. Caller management begins at the district's caller list. The caller status symbols in the call status column there give a quick indication of whether a caller is active, paused, or delinquent. One there has been delinquent for 18 months. They're probably not going to call. For each caller, the admin can see the history of the reminders sent to the caller and the caller's responses. This one happens to be mine. I've been a fairly regular caller, as you would hope an admin would be. The details also show the caller's contact information and whether the caller is paused or active. For the call guide, the admin can revise the ask to keep it relevant. For example, when a member of Congress becomes a co-sponsor, we need to stop asking them to become a co-sponsor. You can press the preview the live script to see the script as your callers will see it. This one contains a hidden pitfall. It has a button that's labeled Report Your Call, and the button actually is not functional because it doesn't have any user ID information, so pressing it will not register a call. We hope eventually that it will register a warning that it's not an operative button. The MCC provides us with reports that tell us how we're doing. And every incoming admin is automatically enrolled in the monthly calling campaign admins action team. The most valuable component of this group so far has been the forum, where admins share questions and answers and ideas for improving the MCC system. To be an admin, you have to be a member of CCL. Presumably, most people visiting this booth are members, but if you're not, joining is easy, and there are no dues. The only dues are the time we hope you will spend supporting CCL's activities in one way or another. To sign up, just go to the URL circled here and press the sign up button, or just use the QR code. This is what the admin application form asks you. Applications are vetted by CCL staff, and that may take a few days. After yours is approved, you'll get an email announcing that your admin account is active. Thank you for joining the Admins Action Team. And that's it. Thank you for visiting our booth.